Shalom, it's Brother Donal, hoping to be a part of the elect, man, coming back with another lesson, another video. Yeah, man, I'm sorry for the wait, man. I wanted to do it earlier, but here in this land of captivity, out here working, you know what I'm saying, for our oppressors, man. I was working late tonight. I didn't get back to like 8 o'clock, and had to get some grub in me, you know what I'm saying. Today's lesson is going to be a very controversial one, you know, in Israel, and you know what I'm saying, just Bible believers in itself, whether that be a colloquial Christian or a Hebrew Israelite, a Catholic, Baptist, you know what I'm saying, Christian apologist, right? It's a very controversial topic. And it's going to be coming out of the book of Deuteronomy, right? A lot of us Hebrew Israelites love the book of Deuteronomy, so I find it very ironic that it's in the book of Deuteronomy, and you know, that's kind of our staple. And it's Deuteronomy 23 and verse number 7, right? I'm just go ahead and read it. It's a classic. Everybody knows this one, right? And depending on which side you stand on, what you believe it's saying, you know what I'm saying? You know, we're going to find out what the truth of it all today, though, right? So first, Deuteronomy 23 and 7, right? Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in his land. Right? Shalom, shalom. Right off the bat, right? We're going to get into the technicalities of it, right? Not to play semantics, but we're going to get into the technicalities of it. I just want to point out one fact, right? Everybody loves going here to Deuteronomy 23 and 7 to show that, hey, look, we're not supposed to abhor an Edomite. But no one ever brings out the fact that, you know what I'm saying, it says not to abhor the Egyptian. Don't nobody care about the Egyptian. We just care about the Edomite, right? We just care about Massa. And so we're going to get into this, right? We're going to show the truth of the matter, right? So I'm going to read it again. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23 and verse number 7, right? Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in his land. And I'm going to try to stay, you know what I'm saying, focus on the topic at hand, because this topic can really, you know what I'm saying, can lead down a whole rabbit hole of different topics. So I'm going to try to stay on topic. Let's go to, I'm going to go straight to the definition, right, of abhor, because the main argument is that people take abhor to mean hate, meaning, and so when they read it, it says, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. They read it, thou shalt not hate an Edomite, right? An important thing to understand is, let's go to Leviticus 19 and 17, right? This is one of I think, one of the most important commandments. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him, right? Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. So right off the bat, you know, the wording itself is thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. When we go back to Deuteronomy, it says thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, right? It doesn't say thou shalt not abhor an Edomite in your heart. You know what I'm saying? This is key wording, key phrasing. And I'm actually going to get this in a different version, right? I don't think anybody would have a problem with admitting that the context of Leviticus 19 and 17 is that it's only talking about Israelites, right? Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor. The brother and the neighbor, right, are to be referred to as Israelites. Why? Because in context, the laws at this time, the laws were given to the Israelites, and they were living amongst the Israelites, right? But I'm gonna prove that real quick. I'm gonna go to Leviticus 19 and 17. Leviticus 19 and 17. Like I said, man, with this topic, you can go off into so many rabbit holes. So I'm going to try to stay on topic. I just got to bring this point up real quick. Leviticus 19, 17 in the CEB. In the CEB version, Common English Bible, right? And this is also in everybody's Bible app, right? And I'm going to show you guys real quick. Let me see. Can I flip this? Right. So look, no ads. So this is Leviticus 19 and 17 in the CEB, the Common English Bible, right? And so even they understand the right understanding. You must not hate your fellow Israelite in your heart. Rebuke your fellow Israelite strongly, so you don't become responsible for his sin, right? That's Leviticus 19 and 17 in the CEB. Let's go again. We can read that in the KJV, right? Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart, which is an Israelite. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, right? An Israelite, as we just read, and not suffer sin upon him, right? So that's a proper understanding on that, right? Just context, contextual, right? And then also comparative text wise, right? In the comparative text, you know what I'm saying? In the CEB, can't go wrong with it for every Israelite. That's a strong cut. But let's go back to this word abhor, right? What does abhor mean? A lot of people will tell you abhor means hate, right? Abhor is equal to hate. You know what I'm saying? And where do they get that from? They get that from the Google definitions, right? Watch this. I just typed in abhor, and let's see what it tells us it is. Hold up. This is Microsoft Bing. I mean, it's on here too, but I want to get Google, because this is what people really do. They go to Google search. And this really shows your scholarship too, right? They go to Google search and they type in abhor, right? Here we go. And here's the definition. I'm going to show you real quick. So abhor, this is the definition that Google gives you, right? Regard with disgust and hatred, right? So bam, you have it right. Hold up. Sorry, I just got done eating. Can you break down what cut means? Oh, so cut, man. Cut just means somebody brings up a doctrine and you simply cut it. So we call the Bible the sword, right? And so with the sword, we cut faulty doctrine, right? That's what cut means, right? But so look, so abhor, the definitions in Google is to regard with disgust and hatred, right? Now, there's a problem with this. There's a problem with using Google, right? There's a problem with using Google, and I'm going to show you, right? We're going to go to this word abhor in the Blue Letter Bible. In the Blue Letter Bible, we're going to go to this word abhor, which is Strong's H8581. If anybody else wants to, you know what I'm saying, follow along. And it's the word tawab in the Hebrew, right? Let's see here. I'm going to read the definition. Matter of fact, I'll show you guys real quick. This is the definition of abhor. Let me scroll up. All right. I'm gonna go back real quick. So, abhor, right? Strong's H8581. I'm gonna click on it, right? Tawab is the Hebrew word, right? Let's go back to Google Translate. In Google Translate, abhor means what? Regard with disgust and hatred. But there's a problem because the actual word for abhor there does not mean hatred, right? So when we go down here, of course, okay, biblical use, right? To abhor, be abominable, do abominably. What does this mean, right? I'm going to read the definition. primitive root to loath, morally detest, right? Make to be abhor, right? Be, commit, more, do abominably, utterly, right? I want to highlight this right here, right? Morally detest. What does this mean, right? Anything that goes against our morals, right? Anything that goes against our morals. And as Hebrew Israelites, what is our morals? The law, statutes, and commandments. So it's telling you not to do anything that was unmorally wrong, right? So that means we can't take nothing from them, right? Because why? So take, for instance, rape, rob, and murder, right? We can't take nothing from them because at this time, they have not taken anything from us. So we can't take it justly, right? We can't take anything from them because they have not taken anything from us at this point, right? We can't take any wives or any of that, right? Because they have not taken from us. That would be robbing, which goes against our moral conduct, right? Let's see. We cannot kill them at this point because they have not killed us at this point. They haven't killed any of us at this point, right? We cannot, this would be abominable acts because they have yet to do anything to us. So it says, don't abhor them, which is to what? Nowhere in this does it say hate. Nowhere. It says to do abominably, right? To do against your morals, which is these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? So and that's important in context, the histocracy of it all. We got to understand where we were at that time, right? The Edomites had not done anything to us, so we couldn't do anything to them, right? That would be abominable to do something to them. It would be considered robbing and murder, right? Let's see something real quick. How do we know this, right? Is it wrong to hate? I know we got 4 people in here, right? I'm gonna ask y'all a question. According to the Bible, is it wrong to hate? Shalom, Mark. Is it wrong to hate? Right? Because people will use this and say, it says don't hate an Edomite, right? But that's not what it's saying. It says not to abhor them. And the word is tawah, which is to do abominably. So out of the 5 people in the chat right now, can we hate according to the Bible? Right? Put a 1 in the chat if we can hate. Put a 2 in the chat if we can't, and we're gonna see. Y'all been moving a little slow, man. Hey, man. It's not a trick question, guys. Put a 1 in the chat if you think we can hate, and put a 2 in the chat if you don't think we can hate. According to the Bible, right? 1, okay. Is it a sin to hate, right? Okay, we're seeing 1s, okay. Is there any 2s, right? I'll say 1, okay. Is there any 2s? Is there any 2s? According to the Bible, give me a 1 if we can hate. Give me a 2 if we can't, right? And if you strongly believe that we cannot hate, there's a saying that a brother likes to say, and he says, if you love it, you'll defend it, right? But if you don't love it, you won't defend it, right? So if you love your doctrine, I need to know right now, right? So far we only got 1s, right? And so let's see if hating is a sin. Okay, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse number 3 first. Because what is hate? What is hate? What is hatred? Right? Of course, we know it's the opposite of love. But if you ask somebody what the definition, what hatred looks like, you know what I'm saying? They would tell you, any acts like if you love somebody, you wouldn't kill them, right? If you love somebody, you wouldn't do X, Y, and Z, right? And these are all colloquial terms of hatred, right? Let's go to 1 Samuel 15 and 3 real quick, right? This is the Lord, right? The Lord is commanding us to do this. This is 1 Samuel 15. I'm going to start at verse 2. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel. So at this point, right, Edom has done something to Israel. And what happens after they have done something to Israel, right? This is what the Lord says to do. How he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Verse number 3. Now go and smite Amalek. Is that love to smite Amalek? Is that love? Is that an act of love? Well, it gets better, right? Utterly destroy all that they have, right? And spare them not, but slay both man and woman. It gets better, infant and suckling. Every ox, every sheep and camel and ass, right? Amalek is a son of Edom, right? And he's an Edomite, and his people are Edomites. Now, if it says don't abhor Edomite, why in the world is the Lord commanding us to do what? To kill all their men, all their women, all their babies, destroy, burn everything they have, right? And what else? Oh, kill their ox and their sheep and their camels and their donkeys. Why in the world, is that love? Is that love? That is not love. That is not love, but that's justice. That's justice, right? And in this case, it wouldn't be abominable to do that. Why? Because in verse 2, let's read. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel. Because they did something to us, now we can retaliate, right? You don't just hate nobody for no reason. That's why at that moment, they hadn't done nothing to us. He told us not to abhor them, right? Don't do them abominably, right? But now that he's seen what they did to us, now he's commanding us to do what? Kill everything that's in their land, right? It doesn't matter if it's a person or if it's a material thing, right? Or something living. Everything's got to go. That's not a term of love, right? That's everything to do with hatred. But there's more, right? Let's go. King David. This is one of my favorite scriptures to go to, right? It's King David. Keep in mind, David was known to be a man after the Most High's heart. When you read the Bible, it says that he followed all the commandments perfectly, save Uriah the Hittite when he killed his soldier to be with his wife, right? That's the only thing that he did in the Bible that you can find that he messed up. Other than that, the Bible said he kept the commandments perfectly and that he was a man after the Most High's heart, right? This is Psalms chapter 139 and 22. This is a prayer for the Most High in Christ's sake, right? This is a prayer. David is praying this. And he's a man after the Most High's heart. So why in the world would why would he slide in some sin in his prayer, right? Let's read it. Psalms 139 and verse 22. I hate them with a perfect hatred. But I thought we weren't allowed to hate. Why is David praying to the Most High God saying, I hate them with a perfect hatred? I count them as my enemies. I have nothing but hatred for them. I count them my enemies. Yes, I hate them with a total hatred, right? That's not even a KJV, but I like the way they put that. I have nothing but hatred for them. I have nothing but hatred for them. I like that. I'm going to get into KJV though. Let's see. I'm going to read the verse before it too, just to get some context. Verse 21. Do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? Am I not grieved with those that rise up against thee? Right? And how do we know that they rise up against the Lord? When they rise up against the Lord's people. Right? I mean, stop me if I'm lying, right? Verse number 22. I hate them with a perfect hatred. Now the question was, is hating a sin? Why is King David saying he hates with a perfect hatred then? And he had a heart after the Most High's heart. And he's praying. Keep in mind, he is praying, guys. He is praying. He says, I hate them with a perfect hatred. I count them my enemies. Right? Who are we sold to in Deuteronomy 28 and 68? Huh? Did it say you were sold to your brother? It said you were sold unto your enemies. David said he hates his enemies. You can't get around this, right? Let me get another one real quick, right? Let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, right? Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, I'm going to start at verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the sun. And it's gonna tell you, right? It's gonna tell you a time. I'll just read, right? A time to kill, a time to heal, right? A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. And it goes on and so on. Let's go to verse 8. A time to love and what? A time to hate. Is hating a sin? Is hating a sin? I'm going to read it again. A time to love and a time to hate. I mean, you can't make this up. Precept upon precept. A time of war and a time of peace. Right? There is a time to hate. Hating is not a sin. Why? Hating your fellow Israelite is a sin because it's in the law. It's in the Bible. It's in the book. Right? But to hate is not a sin. To hate is not a sin, right? It's a time to love and a time to hate. Where there is no law, there is no sin, right? So we see that it's a time to love and a time to hate. We see that David, right, say he hates his enemies with a perfect hatred. What else we see? We see the Most High God telling us to block out Amalek, right, from the face of the earth. His man, his women, his babies, his ox, his cattle, and everything he owns. That's not love, right? Let's go. Matter of fact. That's good, but man, I told you I don't want to get off track. I don't want to get off track. So check this out, right? Back to Deuteronomy 23:7, right? Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. Thou shalt not do it abominably to an Edomite, right? For he is thy brother. Now this part is a stumbling block for a lot of people. The second part, for he is thy brother, right? And I'm not even gonna play around with it, right? Because I don't have to, right? Now, when you go to brother in Strong's definition, it's ak, right? It's a primitive word of brother used in the widest sense of literal relationship or metaphorically, right? Now we know this is this is literal because Esau was Jacob's brother, right? But you got to understand at what it's talking about, right? You can say there's levels to this, right? There's levels to this because technically, Ishmael would be a brother to us, right? Technically, everybody that comes from Abraham would be brothers to us, right? But that's why Romans 9 explains to us, you have not the children of the flesh, but the children of the promise is who we're dealing with, right? Children of the promise is who we're dealing with. But yes, they are your brother because, hey, look, it came from the same father, right? I believe back when you were reading before Israel even came on the scene, anybody that came from Abraham were called brothers, right? It's nothing far-fetched, you know, but it is what it is. He was our brother. Jacob and Esau are brothers, right? It's plain, right? But this word abhor, right? This word abhor does not mean hate. This word abhor does not mean hate. It means to do abominably, right? Stop using Google search and look up what the actual word means, right? The word is tawab, right? And it's in the Strong's it's in the Strong's Concordance. I encourage everybody to look that up. Now, watch this. I'm probably gonna go over this Thursday, right? This is Deuteronomy 23 and verse 8. This is the very next verse, right? Because this very next verse is a stumbling block for a lot of people too. The children that are begotten of them shall enter. I'm going to read it all the way through. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation, right? Do you read the Strongs for the word Edomite in Deuteronomy 23 and 27? Do you want me to read that? I think I know what you're gonna, I think I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. A lot, before I'm going there right now, but a lot of people say that word Edomite in the Bible is an error or a mistranslations or a mistake. It's not talking about Esau. Yeah, a lot of people say it's talking about the Assyrians, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go to Esau though. I'll go to Edomite in the Strongs real quick though. An Edomite or descendants of Edom. Descendant of Edom is what it says in the Strongs. But I have heard that it's supposed to be Assyrians. For the sake of this lesson though, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna roll with Edomites, because even if it says Edomites and even if it's talking about Esau, right, it doesn't mean that you can't hate Esau. At this time, the word abhor means to do abominably. So we could not do anything to them because at this time they had not done anything to us. So it says don't do anything abominably to them, which is we couldn't kill them because they hadn't killed none of us, right? We couldn't take their wives, none of that, right? We couldn't take anything that they own because that would be robbing, right? Just like the laws are for us to govern ourselves within our community, we still have to take those laws and apply it when dealing with other people too, right? Like you can't go steal somebody's wife, right, or lay with somebody's wife just because they're not an Israelite. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep everything in context, right? And that's what this is talking about. To do not abhor an Edomite because they hadn't done anything wrong. When they did do something wrong, let's go to 1 Samuel again. 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 2. The Lord saith of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel. Now they have done something wrong. And what did the Most High say to do after they've done something wrong, right? He didn't say don't abhor Amalek, right? It don't say that, which Amalek comes from Edom, right? Which Amalek is an Edomite. What did he say? Verse 3. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, right? Newborn and babies, ox, sheep, camel, and donkeys, right? And so that's what we see. It's the true understanding, right? But going back to this, like I said before, verse 8, the children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. And I'm going to go over this on Thursday, right? This is going to be a two-part. Because these are two stumbling blocks that's in the nation of Israel right now, right? We've seen precept upon precept that it's not a sin to hate. It's not a sin to hate. If you say it's a sin to hate, you're calling David an evil man, right? And we know that David was not an evil man. Even if you try to hold over his head Uriah the Hittite, even if you try to do that, why in the world in the Bible, when you keep reading, it says, and they did not go and they did not follow in the ways of their father David, but they did evil in the sight of the Lord. That's letting you know that David wasn't an evil man. You know what I'm saying? It says, hate evil and love good. Right. Con, right? And that's another thing, right? Psalms 5:5, where it says the Most High hates not only the sin, but he hates the sinner, right? And that's not even in the Apocrypha, right? And so, but I'm going to go over this. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. What does this mean? Are they going to be like us? They're going to be in the kingdom just like us. They're going to be on the same playing field. No, they're not, right? What is this talking about, right? And also, so you got several type of people. You got those that want to just love our oppressors and love all these other nations that don't love you, right? People want to love their enemies, right? And then you also got, and they're gung-ho on that. And then you also got people that are that are too that have too much hatred for Esau, right? Because these nations, these other nations are going to be, right, in our kingdom. There's no way around that, right? Where it says that thou shalt not enter, the children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord. This is not talking like, this is not saying that they're going to be in the sanctuary with us. They're going to have a gate to get in and all that stuff. No, but they are going to be amongst us in the congregation. They're going to be amongst us. Just like now, everybody's amongst each other right now, right? I say this all the time, right? When we get into the kingdom, right? If there's somebody supposed to be serving us, how they got to be there to serve us, right? They got to be there. So a lot of us, this is the perfect way to say it. A lot of us love Esau too much, but a lot of us hate Esau way too hard, right? And so I'm gonna go over this on Thursday, verse number 8, right? And I'm gonna go precept upon precept like we did today, right? Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. Thou shalt not do abominably to an Edomite, right? Just a quick relapse, right? Just a quick overview. Deuteronomy 23:7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. Abhor in the Strong's means to do abominably. What does it mean by doing abominably? If you go into the definition some more, it says to morally detest, right? To go against your morals. In our morals is the law, statutes, and commandments that says we cannot do anything to anybody else and justify it if it's not justified, right? And what I mean by that is if they haven't stole anything from you, you can't take nothing from them because that would be stealing. That would be robbing, right? If they haven't killed you, you cannot kill them. That would be murder because they would be innocent. And at this time, the Edomites had not done anything to us. So to do anything to them would be morally wrong, and it would be doing them abominably, which this word abhor means. So that says don't abhor an Edomite. It doesn't mean hate. Where did they get this word hate from? In equivalence with abhor, they go to Google search and they type in abhor. And when you go to Google search, it will tell you that abhor means to hate. When you go to the Strong's Concordance and look at the word for abhor, which is tawab, which means to do abominably in biblical usage, then you will see that it's talking about to do abominably. If not, it would have said in here, thou shalt not hate an Edomite. Because the word hate was already around in the Torah. Right? But as far as them getting into the congregation in the third generation, we're going to go over that too on Thursday. Right? And it might piss a lot of Israelites off, but it's fair because today we pissed a lot of people off that loved Esau too much, man. You know what I'm saying? So next time we're gonna piss a lot of people off that are just super anti-Edomites, right? I'm not saying to be for them at all. So when you watch this, don't say, hey, Ashton, you know what I'm saying, is saying that we're gonna be joint heirs with the Edomites, and that's not what I'm saying. But they are gonna be amongst us. Who is gonna be serving us, right? Who is going to be serving us? Somebody's, and the curse has got to go on them, so they got to be serving us, so they're going to be amongst us, right? So on Thursday, we're going to go into part 2 Deuteronomy 23, verse 8, the children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. We're going to go precept upon precept, right? With that, I'm Brother Donald, hoping to be a part of the elect. See you guys Thursday, study hall, giving all honor and glory to Abanawa Yahweh by Hashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai. That's the name of the Father. Through the name of his Son, who the world didn't call Jesus Christ. And with that, I say Shalom.